If you've made your way to this video, I'm guessing you might be interested in how DPS classes will scale in Wrath of the Lich King Classic. This is a topic that has come up recently in the community and one that I'm personally interested in because I'm a contributor to the Wowsims project. The recent conversation motivated me to share a simulation-based approach at answering the scaling question. So what you see on the screen right now is a tool I have built to basically run a bunch of simulations across each DPS spec for different levels of gear. In the table I have right now, the columns P0 through P2 plus correspond to different phases of gear. So P0 is pre-raid, P1 is Naxxramas, P2 is Ulduar, P2 plus is my attempt at scaling up the Ulduar gear based on the item level boost that Blizzard mentioned doing. So when I click run, what's going to happen is for each row, which is a spec, it's going to run a simulation for each of these gear sets, an individual simulation, and then it's going to return, it's going to fill in the cell with the average DPS for that simulation. Right now I have the fight length set to 2.5 minutes. It's going to run 300 iterations. That means each individual simulation has 300 iterations. If you're doing this yourself, you want to use at least a few thousand, but I just want it to run quickly, so I'm going to have it low for right now. And then the workers is just how many can run in parallel at once, and that kind of depends on how powerful your computer is. So as it runs, it's going to be filling in these DPS values. When it finishes, there's this percent gain column, and that will basically be what the percentage gain from P0 to P2 plus is for that class. This is a rough estimate of how a class is scaling over the time period that we're discussing right now. I wouldn't put too much stock in these values as I'm really the only one that's looked at this, the sim configuration so far, so I probably got a bunch of things wrong. But what I do want to talk about is how you can, if you have a question about some of the values you see here, how you can dig into it yourself. So down at the bottom, there's this table that corresponds to the table above. And basically, this is a table of all of the configurations of each of the different sims. So if I have questions about, for example, assassination rogue in P1, I can actually get the configuration file by clicking down here in this table. It's going to copy it into my clipboard. Then I can go into Wowsims. Well, if it didn't block my pop-up. Let me try that again. There we go. Then I can go into Wowsims and import those configuration settings. And, I can increase the number of iterations I want, whatever. But I can actually simulate it within Wowsims using the same settings. And this will allow me to do things like look at what gear was equipped in that set, the settings for things like the rotation, the talents that were selected. I can look at the detailed results, including the timeline, and see, make sure everything makes sense there. And then that's just one way to verify the results. And then if you do need to make a change, you can always export the configuration and share it with me, and I can get it back in as the default for the table that is put up at the top. Again, I don't want to spend too much time going over the specific numbers you see here because I think they are almost certainly wrong and they will almost definitely change. But I just wanted to kind of share the approach that I had, and then also I'll put the link to this tool in the description of the video.